clue who they are, no clue what they're capable of, and not taking that danger into consideration, what kind of danger I was putting my life in. I didn't care. Like I said, I didn't worry about the consequences of my actions, not even in the least bit. And then through this,
so that's some of the trauma that you can't shake, that you have, like, the regret and the shame and guilt, like, tied into that.
Yes, for sure. Those are things that I really struggled with in the beginning of my recovery. So, like, during that part of my life, I started. I mean, that was a descent to my bottom as well. I started off as a high-end escort because I was young. I was in my early 20s, and I still had, all my teeth and my hair, and had pretty skin still. And but it quickly, progressed to different levels of sex trafficking, and I ended up walking. I was a streetwalker per se, and doing these things for 10 and $15.
Wow.
So kind of like the lowest of the low, and through this time of my active addiction, I contracted what is known as endocarditis, and it's a heart infection. It's a heart infection due to IV drug use. It's staph infection that is entered in, through the bloodstream, through IV, through needles. And it's a bacteria that engulfs your heart, and it is fatal if not treated. So I had to go into the hospital, and the treatment is 6-week antibiotic course in hospital care. And I was still, suffering from my drug addiction. I was still suffering from withdrawal symptoms and the obsession, like I was talking about before when Patrick called. That obsession, I could not shake it, and I would leave the hospital with these IVs still in my arm. How dangerous is that? And I didn't care. Like, these doctors would tell me, you are going to die. If you ever use again, the chance of you not making it out this time are significant. Like, you cannot use ever again. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm leaving right now. And this was an endless cycle of back and forth to the hospital. I had the endocarditis 4 separate times.
Wow.
That's, the insanity of it all, and not caring. I don't think that I really cared about dying at that point. I just wanted that obsession for my next fix, and the fear of my body going into heroin withdrawal was far bigger than, somebody's warning that I was going to die on my next use. So yeah, it was just this vicious cycle, and then I ended up getting caught with a significant amount of heroin. I got caught selling heroin, and those are the felonies on my record that are the largest, that carried the biggest penalty, and I ended up going to prison again. And, I've done a total of 3.5 years in prison through the 2 separate times. And this time when I went to prison, the prison was full of drugs. So, which is the case for obviously a lot of correction facilities and rehabs, really.
Right.
So, excuse me. That's what it was. I spent, a little over 18 months doing drugs inside prison walls. So I got addicted to Suboxone in prison. So when I got out in December of 2017, and I was already addicted to an opioid. And so the night I got out of prison, I went right back to the house that I was using in before, and I used that same day. And, each time we go back out, each time we relapse or decide to pick up that first drug again, it gets worse every time. We don't plateau. It doesn't get easier. It gets worse every single time. And that rang true in this last time that I was using. And it progressed so quickly. I was out again, doing things to support my drug habit for very little money, and I was losing my hair. I was 95 pounds soaking wet. I lost all of my teeth. I looked like I was probably 60 years old, and I was 29 at the time. And it was this span of this run was about 4 months, and that's it. I mean, that doesn't seem like a very long time, but I ran so hard and did so much damage to my body, not to mention I had already, at this time, I had endocarditis 3 previous times. The damage to my heart was significant, and I found myself sick again. I was throwing up. I couldn't hold anything down. I couldn't breathe. My hair was falling out, and I decided I needed to check myself into the hospital because I was pretty sure that I had endocarditis once again. So I checked myself into the hospital on April 6th of 2018, and they did some blood work and ran some tests, and I did, in fact, have endocarditis again. And they also told me that I was 14 weeks pregnant and that I was having a girl.
Wow.
So, oh Lord, this is the part that I would get emotional. So, yeah, within a 24-hour span of time, I found out that once again I had endocarditis. I was 14 weeks pregnant, and that I was having a girl. So, needless to say, it was a very overwhelming day, and also dealing with the heroin withdrawal and feeling the guilt and the shame of, holy moly, I am 14 weeks pregnant. Like, what damage have I already done to this child? And the fact that I do have a son, and I was not a present parent. I was in and out of his life and for very, very short periods of time. And how could I be a mother to this baby? That was right there. It was a lot to take in, and I really had to think about it and what I was going to do. And that obsession crept in, and I knew that it was only going to be a matter of time before I tried to leave the hospital so I could get that fixed, to get that, monkey off my back, to keep myself from going into withdrawal. So I asked the hospital to put me under voluntary commitment so I could not leave the hospital, because I know how my mind works. I know how my addiction works, and they did. And I had somebody in the room with me 24/7 watching me use the bathroom, watching every move that I made. And that's what I needed at the time. And I was so scared for these withdrawals to set in, and we needed to be put on a maintenance medication for myself and my unborn child, for her safety as well. And I had this doctor knock on my door, because there's only 2 doctors there were at the time that could prescribe this particular medication, because the hospital could only give it to me for 3 days. And so they were trying to find one, but they didn't know if they would or not. And this doctor knocked on my door, and he walked into into the hospital room, and he sat down, and I could barely breathe. My heart is failing, and I'm carrying a child, and I stood up, and I can barely breathe. And he says, you don't look so good. I'm like, no, I don't feel so good either. Please tell me you have some good news. And he said, well, we just launched this program that he is the founder of, and his name is Dr. William Johnstone Jr., and he's an obstetrician. And he says, I just founded this program, and it's called the TIDES program, and it's specifically for mothers addicted to opiates. And our plan for this program is to, bring mothers in, help them with their maintenance medication, and then set them up for success, help them with job interviews, housing, childcare, just set them up for success. Is this something that you would be interested in? Because you would be our first patient and our guinea pig, per se. And I was like, now that I think back on that, like, don't ever tell anybody that they're going to be your guinea pig. But thankfully, I was in that, I had the gift of desperation. And I just felt like the stars had aligned, and this was my time. This was my time. And something shifted in my mind. And like a click, it was a complete 180 in my mind. And the obsession was kind of gone. And I know this doesn't happen for everybody, but this is how it happened for me. And I had this sense of desperation, and I had this man, this doctor in my corner, and I wanted him to be proud, and I wanted to be the first patient of this program and the first success story as well. And I was just willing to do whatever it took to get sober and to stay sober. And so I stayed in the hospital for 6 weeks, and me and the baby got healthy again. And I was released after 6 weeks. And I still had to go back to prison for a little while because I had a parole violation, obviously, from getting out the last time and going and using. But it was a short 90-day stay. And I had to go back to the very prison that I was just using at. But it worked out, and I was able to stay in segregation from other people, which worked out for me. And I got out, and I went to live with my grandmother and my dad, who,
the same dad that abused you.
Yes. So we had
Krista.
mended our relationship. Okay.
Hold on.
Yep.
We have to take our second break, and time for a second break, and we will be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you looking to expand your knowledge in the mental health field and earn CEU credits at the same time? DID Discovering Hope is having their annual Creating Resilience Conference on November 15th and 16th, and it's open to all trauma survivors and therapists. 2 days of educational workshops will be led by internationally respected experts, including keynote speaker Dr. Colin A. Ross. For mental health professionals, 11 hours of CEUs are available. For more information or to register, visit diddiscoveringhope.org. Once again, that's diddiscoveringhope.org.
Hi, this is Tiffany Werner, your host of Moments of Clarity. Living with a mental health disorder is not easy. If you or someone you know are struggling with this, please know it's so important to seek treatment, and I'm here to help. Please visit the website at momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com to view blog posts and resources on this site to help educate and inspire you to take action, because there's no shame in seeking help for mental health. While you're there, please take a few seconds to sign up for my email list. You'll get some extremely valuable educational and entertaining content that can be sent right to your inbox each week. Plus, you'll also get instant and free access to my guide on managing your anxiety. You can also follow me on Twitter at MOC with Tiffany and at Facebook at Tiffany Werner. And once again, the website is momentsofclaritywithtiffany.com. Thank you so much for your support and for listening to your show, because change can only come when we stand together as one.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
We are back to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. To join in the discussion, call 866-826-1340. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.